to NEXTGames, a Guide to Ninja series, Episode 33, the 2025 Gear Update video. Now, one of the most common questions I still get these days is what's changed in regards to gearing with things like the new Orbs Radiance and Swordy earrings. Now, the answer to that question isn't as cut and dry as with most pieces due to many factors, including buffs and the augments and level of gear that you personally have. Now, all of this advice that I'm about to go over will be based off the Ninja spreadsheet first released by Langley and that I now update and maintain on my GitHub. Now, a link to these updated spreadsheets can be found in the top pinned comment of this video so that you can do your own analysis and comparisons. Now, keep in mind that the buffs you currently have can play a great role into which gear to wear at a given time, so keep this in mind when choosing your setup. Now, my advice today will be based upon the two most common scenarios. Trust buffed, which means you are haste capped with your trust, Dia 3 is on the enemy from Koromoru, and you are using sushi as your food to help cap your accuracy, but your attack is not capped. Now, the second scenario I speak of is party buffed. Here it's expected that you are hyper buffed from other well-geared players and party members, with Minue, Honor March, Chaos and Samurai rolls, as well as Fury and Frailty. All these tests are done against level 136 Apex bats. Now, there's obviously a lot of other buffing situations and enemies to compare to, so that's why the spreadsheet exists, so that you can do your own direct comparisons for a situation you're curious about. Now, let's delve into these things. Let's get the easiest one out of the way, the Null Mask. Now, it doesn't really have a place in Ninja's gear sets. The regain, regen, and refresh stats can find possible uses in some situations, such as you want to get TP before a run starts, or utilizing the refresh when you have a mage sub job. Next, the Hattori earrings, what I'd like to talk about. Now, this earring can be best in slot in many gear sets, but obtaining the max stat earring is bordering on impossible. So you will have to check the stats on the earring you have to see if it's better than the previously given best in slot options. However, I can give you some general rules to follow based on what I've seen in my own calculations in the spreadsheet. Now, when you're trust buffed, only the Hattori 2 earring and its augments will be your best in slot option. If you have Hattori 1 and less, you're going to be better served by things like the Seasons and Telos earrings. However, with full party buffs, the +1 earring now becomes more powerful and is normally all that's needed to beat the next best in slot option. Again, for specifics on your earring, you'll want to use this spreadsheet to enter your specific earring stats and see how it compares to the other options. Also keep in mind that any Hattori earring of any augment level will be your best in slot option for accuracy. And any Hattori earring +1 or higher will be your best in slot option for magic accuracy. Now, the Null accessories. I'll start with the one that I get the most questions about. That's the Null Shawl. Now, I often see people say that this is obviously the new best TP piece to use at pretty much all times on Ninja, and with its double attack and store TP bonus of 7, you would think this would be obvious. After all, the Ambuscade Cape can only give you 10 of either of those, and you're getting 7 of both, so you'd think that really would make it better. However, the lack of dexterity or attack makes it so it falls behind a bit in trust buff situations, for instance making it lose 28 DPS to the store TP Cape in the Blade Shun TP set, and losing 7 DPS when compared to the store TP Cape in the Blade He TP set. Now, in a party buff situation where you're assuming your attack is going to be capped, that extra attack from the cape isn't going to be helping you. So now it's only that dex stat bonus that's going to be of benefit over the Null Shawl. Now here, the line kind of grays, as in the example of a Null Shawl, you'll see a 13 DPS increase when you're using that over the store TP Cape in your Blade Shun TP setup. However, in the Blade He TP setup, you're actually going to lose 12 DPS to the store TP Cape. However, in general, it looks like it becomes more effective here than the usual best in slot store TP Cape options in the majority of situations. So really, a good rule of thumb would be that the Ambuscade store TP Cape is normally going to give you stronger DPS numbers when trust buffed, and to use the Null Shaw when you're attack capped or party buffed, as that's normally going to be your best option. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't also point out that the Shaw does have 50 magic evasion and evasion on it, which could help out dramatically with your survivability in some circumstances. So as long as you don't need the 5% damage reduction from the Ambuscade Cape to reach the usual 50% damage reduction cap, it also would be of a reason to use it. I find that this is a good cape to pair with my usual full-time TP set of Malignance gear, since the evasion and magic evasion play into that set's strengths, and that set already caps your damage reduction. Now outside of TP sets, this shawl is now going to be your best in-slot piece for magic accuracy, and magic evasion sets, boosting the maximum numbers those sets can achieve even higher. Next, let's discuss the null loop, another relatively quick one to discuss. This piece will now become your best in-slot option in your magic accuracy and accuracy gear sets. Let's now move on to the null belt. It is arguably the best of these new accessories, boosting our max available stats in 5 of our sets: magic accuracy, evasion, magic evasion, and magic defense. Now using these 3 null accessories, we have boosted our magic accuracy by 77, our accuracy by 61, our maximum evasion by 15, our maximum magic evasion by 25, and our magic defense set by 3. Now, while for much of the content of the game, these boosted stats aren't going to be entirely necessary, it definitely is extremely helpful in some of the more difficult and challenging content of solo, such as Dartok and Sortie, where you're already kind of riding that magic accuracy and accuracy cap, so this definitely can help you out there. Then the last thing I wanted to talk about is the Sortie weapon of Dokoku, because I have been asked about this several times. No, I have not finished this weapon myself, but I have spoken with a few people who have, and I'll share both the info they provided to me as well as my own thoughts. First, the weapon itself, when finished, is said to have damage output numbers similar to the other Rima weapons with the exception of the Hishi, which still appears to be the best overall weapon for damage output. Now at this time, this is arguably the most difficult endgame weapon to work toward, so that, coupled with it not really comparing to the Hishi, makes it so many won't really attempt this one. However, it does have some pretty neat benefits that I really would love to see one day in action. First, it's got a great delay of 210 like the Kikoku, but with 7 more base damage. It also gives 8 more combat skill than any other weapon at 277. Now it has great stat bonuses, giving 35 Dex and Agi, which are the modifiers for the Zesho Mippo weapon skill that this weapon gives you access to. Now unfortunately, that weapon skill doesn't have as nice of skill chain properties as the other Rima weapons, which allow you to quickly 2-step light or dark skill chain, so that will often be giving you a DPS hit in solo situations. Now its store TP plus 10 is fantastic, and it matches what the Hishi gives you, and the 263 magic damage that this weapon provides is the best in class by far, giving it 46 more magic damage than any other option. This makes it so if you're trying to focus purely on magic damage, this paired with the Kunomitsu should now give you substantially higher numbers than we could achieve before. Now unfortunately, its lower base damage and lack of a TP bonus make it so it still falls behind the Hishi for hybrid weapon skills. So while this weapon can have some uses, it's unfortunately not an upgrade to what we've already had available, especially given the difficulty in obtaining compared to some of those other Rima weapons. That's going to be it for this update in A Guide to Ninja series. I hope you found that helpful. We'll see you next time.